He's the most decorated Formula One driver, with the most wins, pole positions, and podium finishes. A driver with the best rookie season in the sport. He won the championship in only his second season. This driver is an all-time legend, but it almost never happened. A career move changed his story. It set him up to win 6 more titles and is tied with Michael Schumacher. This driver is Lewis Hamilton, a driver with a remarkable story, someone who is more than a racing driver, and for many, the one and only greatest of all time. To understand how Lewis Hamilton's career changed because of one team's switch, we have to go back to the year 1990. Born and raised in Stevenage, the then 5-year-old Hamilton was introduced to racing through radio-controlled cars. 1 year later, his father, Anthony, upgraded this to a bigger toy, a 5th-hand go-kart. It was a rusty old cart, but it did the job. This Christmas gift came with a promise: I will support your racing career as long as you do your best at school. Giving this support wasn't easy for Anthony Hamilton. Their financial situation was challenging. While Lewis still lived with his mother due to a divorce, his father sometimes worked up to 4 jobs at the same time. Everything was done to live up to that promise and take young Lewis to the track on weekends. He worked as an IT manager, contractor, double glazing salesman, dishwasher, and a sign installer for real estate agents. He was a busy man. Lewis started karting competitively at the age of 8. He needed a new go-kart for this, which cost almost as much as the monthly family income. Anthony Hamilton spent nearly £20,000 in the early years of his son's karting career. He remortgaged the house several times to access more funds. When Lewis came home from school and said he wanted to go karting, his dad sometimes had to say, "We can't afford to go racing this weekend." Luckily for the family, one thing was clear: they had a special kid. Right from the start, their son won races and class championships. His iconic neon yellow helmet was chosen by his father so he could follow his son better. In 1995, at the age of 10, Lewis became the youngest driver ever to win the British Cadet Karting Championship. It was also his first encounter with McLaren Mercedes Formula One team boss, Ron Dennis. When the young Brit saw him, he said, "Hi, I'm Lewis Hamilton. I won the British Championship, and one day I want to be racing your cars." Dennis replied, "Phone me in 9 years. We'll sort something out then." But it never came to that. Lewis moved in with his father to focus on his karting career. Living with his stepmom and stepbrother, Nicholas Hamilton, they kept competing in karting. In the following years, he kept winning. In 1996, he was again British champion and won the McLaren-sponsored Champions of the Future Series. In 1997, he won 3 karting series and became the British karting champion again. But then, in 1998, something happened that Ron Dennis didn't predict. The McLaren team boss rang the family's house phone and presented a life-changing opportunity. He offered financial support for their 13-year-old son's racing career. Lewis Hamilton became the youngest driver ever contracted by a Formula One team. He was now part of McLaren's driver development support program. Besides the financial and technical support, there was one option in his contract that stood out: a future option for entry into Formula One. In the upcoming years, he did what he'd always done: win. With European Championships, World Championships, and several other fantastic results, he graduated to single-seaters in 2001 at the age of 16. But not before he faced one final challenge. In that year, he and other promising talents like Nico Rosberg went karting against Michael Schumacher. It was a phenomenal event, but still a challenge every kid wanted to take. While Schumacher and Hamilton didn't directly race each other, it was the German who saw something special. He's a quality driver, very strong and only 16. If he keeps this up, I'm sure he'll reach F1. Hamilton's first season in single-seaters was in 2001 with Manor Motorsports. He competed in the British Formula Renault Winter Series and achieved a 5th place. He stayed with Manor and competed in Formula Renault UK for another year. In 2003, he won his first single-seater title in the same competition with 9 wins out of 10 races. He progressed to the Formula 3 Euro Series at the age of 19. In 2004, he finished 5th in the series, but his Formula 1 test might be the real highlight. At the circuit of Silverstone, he took the wheel of a Formula 1 car for the very first time. But this was almost the last time Hamilton was linked to McLaren. His father, Anthony, who was his manager, pushed for a GP2 drive in 2005. McLaren wanted Lewis to compete in another year of Formula 3. It led to conflict. The contract of the young Brit was terminated by Martin Whitmarsh, the one who had guided Hamilton through the McLaren driver development support program. The Hamiltons went to Williams and stated that Ron Dennis dropped us. Unfortunately for Williams, they couldn't afford to sign the young talent because their partner BMW didn't want to fund Hamilton's junior career. Father and son were left with nothing and decided to return to McLaren for another Formula 3 Euro Series season. In that year, he added another championship to his career, while also winning the legendary Marlboro Masters of Formula 3 at Zandvoort. Now, imagine what would have happened if they hadn't returned. Hamilton joined the GP2 grid with drivers like Nelson Piquet Jr. and Timo Glock. The latter would play a part later in his career. Lewis competed in all 21 races, won 5 of them, and ended on the podium 14 times. He clinched the title with 114 points, 12 points ahead of Nelson Piquet Jr. He dominated at his favorite circuit, Silverstone, won at Monaco, and had a fantastic comeback at Istanbul Park. He spun, dropped to 18th, and overtook almost everyone to finish second. His title was unusual. He needed 1 point after the Monaco Grand Prix and received it after his competitor, Giorgio Pantano, was stripped of the fastest lap. But it was his impressive season that completed the goal of junior and senior Hamilton. After months of speculation, and with driving seats becoming vacant after Juan Pablo Montoya left for NASCAR and Kimi Raikkonen went to Ferrari, it was the then 21-year-old Lewis Hamilton who signed a Formula One contract with Vodafone, McLaren Mercedes, partnering with reigning two-time champion Fernando Alonso. His debut season will always be remembered. It's the best rookie season ever. There was a lot of pressure. He was still a promising talent, but still at only 22 years old, he proved everyone wrong, achieving 12 podiums in 17 races, 4 wins, and a second place in the World Drivers' Championship. Hamilton broke many records. But that wasn't the only thing he broke. His relationship with Fernando Alonso became troubled too. Throughout the season, both drivers were involved in incidents with each other. This led to tension between them and the team. It ended with Alonso and McLaren terminating their contract. Hamilton signed a multi-million-pound contract lasting until 2012. If the two drivers hadn't been so busy fighting each other, Hamilton might have become champion in his rookie season. In 2008, Hamilton continued to show his talent. In his second season, he showcased his excellent driving skills multiple times, but also made mistakes due to inexperience. The young Brit was in a title battle with Felipe Massa, with 4 wins including an impressive race at the British Grand Prix, where he finished more than a minute ahead of second place. He faced a 12-point deficit heading into the final 2 races. This was due to a controversial penalty in Belgium. He needed to win in China, and so he did. He dominated from pole position and positioned himself strongly for the race in Brazil. In 2007, he lost the championship by 1 point there, but this year was different. The championship deciding race became one of the most dramatic in Formula One history. Hamilton needed to finish at least 5th to win the title, while Massa needed a win. With the Brazilian starting on pole, the title was in sight. The whole race, it looked like the title was indeed Massa's to win. As the race in Brazil is known for, it started to rain on lap 63. Hamilton pitted on lap 66 and came out in 5th position. Vettel was behind him and had more pace. Hamilton fell to 6th and was virtually losing the championship. Timo Glock stayed out on dry tyres and struggled to keep his car on track. He was in 4th position. What happened next was unforgettable. On the final lap of the race, everything changed. The conditions became worse, and Glock struggled so much that Vettel and Hamilton passed him.
Is that Glock? Is that Glock going slowly?
It is!
That's
It's Glock! Oh my goodness me! Hamilton's back in...
It was that moment that decided the championship. Felipe Massa had driven a perfect race and was champion for just a few seconds. Lewis Hamilton became the youngest Formula One champion at that time, winning the title by just 1 point. In the following 4 years, Hamilton wasn't really a championship contender. The McLaren cars weren't good enough after the 2009 aerodynamics update. However, Hamilton showcased his ability to extract performance from an initially uncompetitive car. In 2009, he had 2 wins, 5 podium finishes, and he ended the season 5th in the standings. The second half of the season helped too, as McLaren brought a performance update. The car improved and he climbed from 11th to 5th in the driver standings. 2010 was again a year he could have won the title. The McLaren wasn't the fastest car, but once again, the Brit extracted the maximum out of his machinery. He won in Turkey, Canada, and Belgium. But he also had some bad luck and he made some mistakes. A puncture in Spain causing him to crash while running second. After the summer break, Hamilton wasn't at his best. A collision in Monza, retirement in Singapore, and another collision, and overdriving the car in Korea and Brazil that all impacted his championship hopes. While he had a mathematical chance of winning at the final race, he did everything he could with a second place and a strong final lap, and he came 16 points short. 2011 was a low point in Hamilton's Formula One career. He was beaten by his teammate Jenson Button in the championship, was inconsistent, and struggled with personal issues. During the 2010 season, he broke ties with his father, who was still his manager. They weren't on speaking terms, and this affected his performances. But that wasn't the only problem. He also had relationship struggles and multiple issues with the FIA stewards. These personal challenges impacted his performance and gave him mood swings. He felt he was an easy target for the stewards, especially after a harsh drive-through penalty in Singapore. He ended the season 5th again, with 3 wins and 6 podiums in total. The 2012 season was stronger. It was a competitive year with multiple championship contenders. Many fans even consider it one of the greatest seasons of all time. Lewis did a reset and came back to win 4 races, achieving 14 points finishes out of 20 races and finishing 4th in the championship standings. However, his machinery let him down. With 5 retirements and a loss of over 100 points due to these issues, it could have been the season he claimed his second title. Unfortunately for him, this wasn't the case. Due to these circumstances, rumours began to circulate that Hamilton wanted to leave McLaren. This would end their 15-year partnership that began when he was just a kid. In late September 2012, it was made public that Lewis Hamilton would join the Mercedes-AMG Petronas Formula One team for the 2013 season. He signed a 3-year deal. The entire Formula One world reacted, as did the fans. McLaren hoped he would regret the move. His teammate, Jenson Button, thought it wasn't the right decision, and fans said his career was over. Nobody believed he could win a Drivers' Championship at Mercedes. But why did he make the move? It was Niki Lauda who played a big part in it. Lewis saw the potential of the team, but Lauda was the first to contact him about the move. Multiple meetings with Lauda and later team leader Ross Brawn convinced him. All the negativity, that motivated Hamilton. He wanted to write his own story, take on a challenge, and join a midfield team to grow with them. He saw their potential and believed that Mercedes could build a car and engine that suited the new regulations.
Hi, I'm Lewis Hamilton and welcome to my first day at Mercedes-AMG Petronas.
In 2013, it looked like the people's opinion might have been the right one. He had a career low of only 1 win, finishing 4th place in the standings. But it was also Hamilton who showcased that he was a fantastic qualifier with 5 pole positions. He always extracted the maximum out of the car. But in 2014, Lewis and Mercedes proved everyone wrong. Turbo hybrid engines made their debut in Formula One, and the Mercedes team won 16 of the 19 races. 11 of those came from Hamilton, with the remaining wins being Nico Rosberg's prey. It was a fierce battle between the teammates, with multiple controversial moments. Again, the last race was the championship decider, something he had gone through before. He won again after Nico Rosberg had car issues. His first Mercedes title, Mercedes' first Constructors' Championship, and a contract extension were a fact. An extension of another 3 years, £100 million, and he could keep his championship-winning cars and his trophies. 2015 was dominant again. While he was still battling with his teammate, he won 10 races, finished 17 out of 19 times on the podium, and won the title with 3 races to go. His consistency won him the title that year. But in 2016, Lewis faced his second loss to a teammate in the championship standings. It was the year their rivalry exploded. The teammates battled hard, had multiple collisions, and crashed out of the race in Barcelona. While winning more races and having more pole positions, it was Nico Rosberg who took the title with a 5-point difference. In true Hamilton fashion, it was the last race that decided the title. Hamilton won the race, denied team orders, and drove deliberately slow to push Rosberg into the chasing drivers. He still missed out on his 4th world title. Nico Rosberg announced a shock retirement after winning his first world title. It was the 2016 season with the fierce battles and mind games that made him decide this. Hamilton came back even stronger in 2017, but so did Ferrari. His rival left the sport, but Sebastian Vettel became his new rival. He didn't get much competition from his new teammate, Valtteri Bottas. His start was strong, but also inconsistent. He achieved points in every single race, but Vettel was leading the championship. After the famous Baku incident, Hamilton turned the season around. He went on a 3-race winning streak, had 0 retirements, and won his 4th title with only 2 races left. Once again, his consistency won him the title. 2018 was dominant yet again, but it was also Ferrari and Vettel who were his competitors. It was the battle of 5, 2 4-time champions fighting for their 5th title. While Ferrari and Vettel started strong, they also made a lot of mistakes. Lewis capitalized on that and won his title in Mexico with 2 races to go. He was the first driver to achieve more than 400 points in a season. He re-signed for 2 years with Mercedes. The dominance of Hamilton and Mercedes continued. Both performed at a high level. In 2019, he won the title again. His teammate, Bottas, did give him a bit more of a challenge, but it was never close to winning. With 11 points and pole positions, 17 podiums in total, and 413 points, Hamilton showed he was the man to beat. He did it again in 2020. While the season was shorter with 17 races instead of 21, Hamilton still won 11 of them, with 10 pole positions and beating his teammate by more than 100 points in the standing. It was yet again another dominant season. It was the Mercedes car of that year, which was a rocket ship, the favourite of the champion himself, and understandably so. But then 2021 happened. A small rule change shook things up. Red Bull Racing became better, much better, in the hands of Max Verstappen, who occasionally showed he could beat Hamilton. One of the most competitive seasons in Formula 1 unfolded. Hamilton was chasing his record-breaking 8th title, while Verstappen wanted to win his first. From the start of the season, both drivers and cars were very strong. They frequently exchanged the championship lead. They raced hard against each other and might have gone too far multiple times. While Verstappen was leading the championship, it was an end-of-season sprint that kept Hamilton's championship hopes alive. An impressive weekend in Brazil, a dominant win in Qatar, and a hard fight in Saudi Arabia took the decision to the last race, something Hamilton is used to by now. With Verstappen on pole, it was Hamilton who dominated the race. He cruised to victory until a late safety car caused by Latifi changed everything. The Mercedes team decided to stay out, with Red Bull opting for new tyres. Weird decisions by the race director made it a last-lap battle. The first-time championship chasing Verstappen versus the record-breaking 8th title that Hamilton wanted. The first one won. It was a devastating moment for Lewis. He lost the title in a weird way. That season, Lewis became the first driver to surpass 100 pole positions and 100 race wins. He has achieved everything besides that 8th title. I thought he was retiring, even though he had a contract until 2023, but he proved he was stronger than this. For 2022, we got new aerodynamic regulations. Lewis's teammate was replaced by George Russell, a young, promising talent. Everyone expected Mercedes to be a dominant force yet again. Since 2014, when the turbo hybrid engines came into the sport, they had been the frontrunners. Mercedes came up with the infamous zero-pod design. They failed miserably. The team wasn't a backmarker, but for their status and being the reigning 8-time Constructors' Champion, they looked totally lost. And so did Hamilton. While he did achieve 4 podiums, he struggled a lot. It was the first season of his career that he didn't win a race. He became 6th in the championship standings, another career low. For the second time, he got beaten by his teammate. In 2023, the car became a bit better, and Hamilton instantly showed he still had it. With the 104th pole position of his career, 5 podium finishes, and great consistency, he became 3rd in the championship. He beat his teammate, and it looked promising for 2024. But in January 2014, something happened that nobody saw coming. Rumors occurred that Lewis Hamilton would become a Ferrari driver in 2025. A day later, it was confirmed. Lewis Hamilton joins Ferrari for the 2025 season on a multi-year contract. News that broke the internet. He was negotiating with Mercedes for a new deal, but he didn't get what he wanted. They might have thought he was near the end of his career. Being 39 years old, he chose to write his own story again, follow a boy's dream, and become a Ferrari driver. The season started, and Mercedes didn't make the step forward they wanted. It was a season where Hamilton was unrecognizable. With a third place in Spain, it looked like they were improving. The British Grand Prix is his favourite. It rained, and I could smell an opportunity to win. And after 2 years, he finally won again. And he did it at his home Grand Prix. He drove a fantastic race. He became third in Hungary and won again in Belgium after his teammate got disqualified. What followed were disappointments again. The Mercedes car wasn't great and Lewis looked lost. In Las Vegas, the Mercedes was good and he showed that. He charged to P2 from the back of the grid. His last race was approaching and Mercedes and Hamilton wanted to end on a high. His qualifying was bad and he needed to start from the back of the grid. A fantastic race followed. He drove really well and finished with the last lap overtake in front of his teammate. He ended his last season with a good race, but on a career-low 7th position in the championship. Lewis was again beaten by Russell, and even worse, for the first time, a teammate outqualified him. Now the 2024 season is over, a legendary partnership has ended too. Hamilton has been with Mercedes F1 for 12 seasons. He's been associated with Mercedes for 26 years, and after 6 Drivers' Championships, 8 Constructors' Championships, 84 wins, 76 pole positions, and 246 races, the most successful partnership in Formula One history has ended. Mercedes made it possible for him to achieve these amazing results, but it was Hamilton that made these results a reality. But now he moves on for one final challenge, driving in legendary Ferrari Red, partnering with Charles Leclerc, arguably one of the best qualifiers and racers nowadays, a super talent. While we didn't see the best of Hamilton in the last 3 years, it's a fact that he still has it. The moment the car felt good, he performed. But is it good enough to beat Charles Leclerc? Or even better, is it good enough to achieve that record-breaking 8th title? The legendary story of Hamilton continues in 2025, but you can continue watching my Kimi Räikkönen video, a driver that came from a poor background but achieved greatness. He's still the last Ferrari champion, and it's definitely something you need to see.